Long ago in the eastern side of Ghana, lived a lovely young woman in the village of KASAMEHO. The name of this lovely lady was Mamya Wusu. Mamya lived with her parents and she was their only child. For many years, the young men in this village came after the beautiful young lady, but she declined all the proposals that came her way. Mamya's mother advised her daughter to consider getting into a relationship, as she wasn't getting any younger, and would soon have to get married and leave her parents' home. But Mamya wanted a responsible man, not just any man around the village, she told her mom. Men in KASAMEHO were known to be hardworking, but most of them weren't the kind who would stick to one woman. This was why Mamya did not want to get involved with any of them. She wanted a man who would love and cherish her. Mamya's father, Papa Kwizi Wusu, was a popular palm wine tapper in the village, and her mom Ino Mansa was just a housewife. The prince of KASAMEHO village, who had been living with his auntie in the United States of America since age 15, had arrived in the village. Kwame Juicy, the prince of the land, went for a stroll one afternoon in the community to greet the people and also to visit his childhood friend, Mensa. On his way back home, the prince met Mamya, who was on her way home from a stroll. Mamya's beauty got the prince mesmerized. He couldn't take his eyes off the lady. The prince called the young lady and asked her to be his woman. Mamya admired the prince a lot. Unlike his parents, the prince had done several charitable works in the community. Mamya had heard good things about the prince from the people, but she never had the opportunity to meet him in person until that fateful afternoon. She asked the prince if she could have some time to think about his proposal, which the prince granted. The prince asked Mamya to meet him at the same place, same time in the next 3 days to inform him of her decision. Butterflies in her belly, Mamya couldn't stop smiling on her way back home. The prince too couldn't stop thinking about Mamya. They had both fallen for each other at first sight. The king of the land, Ohinyo Juicy II, sat with his wife, the queen, at the dinner table with their son. Obapeyan Akua asked her son about his stay since his return home. Kwame Juicy told his parents how comfortable and amazing it's been for him since his return. The king asked about Kwame Juicy's fiancée Matilda, who was still in the United States and was about to complete her medical school. Kwame Juicy, with a straight face, responded that his fiancée was doing well and that she had been preparing to return from the United States after completing her school. The king and his wife were happy to hear that from their son. The king had a good relationship with Matilda's family. The king and Matilda's father had been good business partners for many years. The king and Matilda's father had agreed to merge their families to strengthen their friendship by uniting Kwame Juicy and Matilda in marriage. But Kwame Juicy did not love Matilda. He only entertained their relationship because of the good friendship his father, the king, had with Matilda's dad. Kwame Juicy had fallen in love with Mamya, the beautiful village girl. But he was reluctant to let his parents or anybody know about it. He knew his father, the king, wouldn't agree to let him get married to Mamya. He also knew how dangerous his parents could be, so he did not want to put Mamya's life in danger by confessing his love for her to his parents. Kwame decided to keep his relationship with Mamya a top secret if she said yes to his proposal. The day came for Mamya to give the prince an answer. Kwame Juicy went out to meet Mamya at the exact place they met the other day. Mamya accepted the prince's proposal. They both looked happy together. Kwame asked Mamya not to inform anyone about their relationship. He asked that they keep their relationship a secret until he decided to see her parents. Mamya asked why they had to keep their relationship a secret, and the prince responded, "You know I am the prince of this land. And I mustn't be seen around the village with a woman. I must first present the woman to my parents, be engaged to her before we can be seen together in the community." Ye looked a bit troubled by what the prince said. She responded, All right, then take me to your parents and let's perform the necessary rites so that everyone in the community would know that you are mine. The prince smiled and said, My beautiful angel, I would love to do that immediately. But my father, the king, has several issues on his table at the moment, so I do not want to bother him with my love life now. And besides, we just commenced this relationship. I want us to exercise patience, know each other very well. In the appropriate time, I will take you to my parents and I will come and see yours too. So we can get married, okay? Heir responded with a nod and a beautiful smile. The prince asked Heir to promise him that she would not mention anything about their relationship to anyone until he took her to meet his family. Heir made the promise to the prince. KASAMEHO then took off his crown, put it on Heir's head, and told her that she would someday become his queen. The lovebirds spent their moments alone in an isolated area, where nobody could see them. 3 months later, Heir was troubled that the prince had not taken her to meet his parents. She asked the prince why he was reluctant to take her to meet his parents. The prince kept giving excuses and told Heir that he needed more time to make their relationship official. Heir was worried about the situation and needed someone to talk to. One afternoon at Papa Queeze's house, Heir was in the kitchen cooking with her mother. She looked disturbed and her mom noticed it. Inomancer asked Heir about her troubles. Heir stopped cutting the vegetables. She sat down and questioned her mother. Mother, do you think it is all right for a lady to see a man for 3 good months without the man taking her to meet his parents or coming to meet hers? Inomancer looked cheerfully at her daughter and said, My daughter, if a man truly loves you, 1 month is enough time for him to come and meet your parents. Not to necessarily perform marriage rites, but to show himself to the lady's family. This enables them to know whom their daughter is going out with. It's a sign of reverence to the girl's family. My daughter, are you seeing a man in this village? No, mother, a friend of mine finds herself in a similar situation and I am just worried about her. Heir responded. Tell that friend of yours to be very careful. Tell her to ask the man to go and see her parents. That is the right thing to do. If the man refuses to do that, then he does not have good intentions for your friend. Heir became quiet after her mother's response. Inomancer asked her daughter to continue cutting the vegetables as she realized that time was against them. For 3 days, KASAMEHO, the prince of the land, had not seen Heir and was worried. Heir had decided not to see the prince again if he wasn't ready to take her to meet his parents. The prince visited their meeting place severally, but Heir did not show up. He decided to visit Heir at Papa Queeze's house to find out what was wrong with his girlfriend. Inomancer was sitting with her daughter at the compound when the prince arrived. Inomancer and her daughter stood up to welcome the prince of the land. Greetings, my prince. You are welcome to our compound, son of a great man. Please, I hope there's no problem. KASAMEHO answered, Greetings to you, mother. Please, there's no problem. I am here to see your daughter Heir. Inomancer, as she turned to look at her daughter, asked, You are here to see my daughter? Yeah. Do you know the prince? Inomancer asked her daughter. Yes, mother, he is my friend. Heir responded. Inomancer asked the prince to have a seat, and also asked if he cared for some water, but the prince declined the offer in a respectful manner. Inomancer excused the young lovers and went into the house. The prince sat down and asked why Heir hadn't been showing up at their meeting place. Heir told the prince that she was no longer interested in their relationship since he did not want to take her to meet his parents. The prince begged Heir to be patient, that he had plans to take her to his parents soon, but Heir did not believe him. She had already decided to quit the relationship. Heir believed the prince wasn't serious with her and she wanted out of the relationship. Nana KASAMEHO pleaded with Heir not to end things with him and promised to take her to his family very soon. Heir told the prince that she would change her mind when he was ready to take her to his parents. Heir stood up and left. The prince tried stopping her from leaving, but Heir did not stop. The prince left the compound worried about the situation. He loved Heir so much, and wanted to do the needful. But he feared it would put her life at risk. questioned her daughter about her relationship with the prince. Heir confessed everything to her mom, and was very proud of her daughter for doing the right thing, and thanked her for listening to her advice. Days later, KASAMEHO, the prince of the land, invited Heir to the palace to meet his parents. Heir II and his wife sat at the king's quarters one afternoon when the prince walked in with Heir. The prince introduced Heir to his parents as his girlfriend and the lady he had chosen to become his wife. The king and his wife got furious. They asked Heir who her parents were. Heir told the king that she was the daughter of Papa Kwesi the palm wine tapper and Heir. The king and his wife did not know Heir's parents. They were very annoyed after hearing that Heir's dad was a palm wine tapper. The king warned Heir to stay away from the prince and instructed the palace guards to throw Heir out of the palace. The prince instructed the guards to stop, but they did not listen, because the command came from the king. Heir was thrown out of the palace, and the king instructed his son to go to his bedroom. The queen told her loyal servant to follow Heir home and return to her with her findings. Heir returned home crying uncontrollably. Heir asked her daughter what had happened to her, but she could not stop crying. Heir later told her mom what had happened at the palace. Heir consoled her daughter and asked her to stay away from the prince. The next day, Obape Akua, the queen mother of the land, arrived at Papa Kwesi's house to warn Heir's parents about their daughter's involvement with her son. The queen stated emphatically that her son, the prince, was engaged and would soon be getting married to a classy woman, not a poor dirty village girl. She asked Heir to advise her daughter to stay away from the prince. She added that Heir would be in serious trouble if she did not heed her warnings and decided to continue seeing the prince. Papa Kwesi wasn't at home when the queen visited. She came to meet Heir and her daughter. The queen delivered her message and left Papa Kwesi's compound. Immediately the queen mother left, Heir fell on her knees and commenced crying bitterly. Heir went to pick up her daughter and consoled her. Papa Kwesi returned home late that day. Heir informed her husband about what had happened in his absence. Papa Kwesi was troubled by what he had heard. He sat down with his daughter and advised her to stay away from the prince. He said, "My daughter, always remember that true love is built on mutual respect and acceptance from both families. If his parents do not welcome you, it may be a sign that the relationship could face deeper challenges. It's important to seek a partner who values you fully and whose family supports your union. Your happiness and peace of mind are worth more than any royal title. Though this moment is painful, know that it doesn't define your worth or future. You are strong and deserving of love that uplifts and respects you. Allow yourself to grieve, but know that new opportunities for happiness and growth will come. Trust that the right person would appreciate you for who you are and that brighter days lie ahead." Papa Kwesi stood up and left to his bedroom after his humble remarks. One fateful morning, Heir was on the compound sweeping. Heir was also drying some clothes when Heir hurriedly went to the backyard to throw out. Heir noticed her daughter's reaction and went to ask what was wrong with her. Heir told her mom that nothing was wrong with her, but she lied. Heir noticed some changes in her daughter's body after taking a careful look at Heir. She asked her daughter if she was pregnant, but Heir responded that she wasn't pregnant. Heir sat down with her daughter and convinced her to tell her the truth. Heir then confessed that she was 2 months pregnant for the prince. Enomancer quickly shut her daughter up and took her to the room. Enomancer informed her husband about the sudden development, and Papa Queasy became very worried about his daughter's situation. Papa Queasy called his daughter and asked her never to mention anything about the pregnancy to anyone, not even the prince. Papa Queasy feared that the news could put his daughter's life in danger. But Heir did not listen to her father's advice. She met the prince at their meeting place to inform him about the pregnancy. The prince was happy to know that he would soon become a father. The Queen Mother's loyal servant had eyes on the prince. She followed the prince to the meeting place and hid in the bushes. She heard everything Heir told the prince. The loyal servant returned to the palace and informed the Queen Mother about the sudden development. The queen got furious and arrived at Papa Queasy's house the next morning. She looked very angry. Papa Queasy came out to meet the queen, and the queen asked if what she had heard was true. Heir's parents wondered what the queen had heard. The queen then told them to abort their daughter's pregnancy, else she would do it herself. She warned Papa Queasy and his wife to get rid of the baby if they did not want to lose their only child. The queen mentioned again that her son, the prince, was engaged, and under no circumstance would they allow him to get married to a poor village girl. So if they had intentionally pushed their daughter into getting pregnant for the prince, then they should be ready to face the ramifications that come with it. The queen left the compound with her servants, and Papa Queasy took his daughter inside. Papa Queasy asked his daughter if she had told anyone about the pregnancy. But Heir lied that she hadn't mentioned it to anyone. Enomancer also told her husband that she had not told a soul. Papa Queasy became confused and wondered how the queen got to know about the pregnancy. Papa Queasy told his daughter not to worry about the queen's threats. He promised Heir that, as long as he lived, he would make sure that nothing happened to the baby. Kwame Juicy, the prince of the land, arrived at Papa Queasy's house the next day to check up on Heir. Papa Queasy begged the prince to stay away from his daughter. Enomancer told the prince about his mother's warnings to them and asked him never to step foot in their house again. The prince left the house looking very worried. Heir was kept in the house and was asked not to come out by her father. The prince angrily approached his mother to ask why she had to visit Papa Queasy's house to warn them. The king stood up and slapped his son for confronting his mother in such a disrespectful manner. He made it clear to his son that he would never allow him to marry the village girl and emphasized that it would be over his dead body for that to happen. The king ordered the guards to take the prince to his room and lock him up until he returned to his senses. One evening, Heir was on her way home from the riverside. She suddenly heard footsteps behind her. She wondered who that could be because Heir did not meet anyone on her way to the riverside or at the stream. She had also not met anyone on her way back from the riverside, so she was amazed to hear footsteps behind her. She turned to look at the person who came from behind, and to her surprise, the footsteps she heard were some palace guards who wanted to capture her. If you like my story, kindly like and subscribe to my channel. The second part of this story comes soon. Thank you.